Hello beautiful, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Caitlin if you are new here. On this channel I focus a lot on bullet journaling, so if you've never heard about it before, I have a video just on that topic right up there and a link to my blog post down below as well. This video I'm focusing all on April plan with me for 2022 in my bullet journal. I'm really excited because I tried something new. I ended up buying gouache, and I see a lot of bullet journals do amazing gouache paintings, and I thought, well, I'm a beginner, so why don't I just give it a try and see how it goes in my journal. I'm really excited with how it turned out, and if you're interested in seeing that, just keep on watching. I'm really excited to be doing this 2022 April bullet journal theme because it's very reminiscent for me. All the time in April would be focused towards studying and exams and prepping for the end of the year. This year is a little different because I am no longer a student, but I kind of had this theme in mind because April to me is just a study session trying to cram in for all of those exams. And a lot of the time I would spend that doing at a coffee shop, ordering some tea, grabbing all of my notes, cramming, stressing a lot just to hopefully get it done. And that is how I kind of came up with this theme for the month of April. The one thing that I really like about a coffee shop theme in particular, specifically just with this outside of the building, is you can really break down the picture into your basic shapes. So the top of the building is just a rectangle, and then you can add different shapes on top of the other shapes to make the object that you're looking for. So the door in particular, you start off with a rectangle, add in the square for the window, add in some rectangle details, and that's really it. For me personally, I like breaking down a picture or photo into the basic shapes just to help reference when I'm sketching something out. I also ended up grabbing reference shots off of Pinterest. That just helps sometimes to channel exactly what you want the spread to look like a little bit better when you have a reference photo. This month, I decided to try something a little different out in my bullet journal for the stationery supplies that I'm using, and all of that will be linked just in my blog post and links to the exact stationery that I am using if you're interested in checking that out. I'll just have the blog post linked down below. But I decided to use gouache paint. And I've never used gouache paint before, even before doing this plan with me in my bullet journal, so I probably should have practiced a little first. But I think the best way for me to show you how easy this medium is to work with is to just show you my very first impressions of it. The one thing that I did notice with gouache paint in particular is that it's kind of a combination between your classic watercolor and acrylic paints. The gouache paint needs water obviously to activate a little bit to make it run across the page better. But like acrylic paints, you start with the darker color and then layer up the lighter tones. And that's what you can see I'm doing here just with the table. I'm starting with a black base and then adding in some white and gray tones over top. I'm really excited that I ended up trying something new in my journal. I ended up getting the confidence from two other bullet journal YouTubers here, Journal Away and Therese T. They have absolutely stunning, gorgeous Plan With Me themes, and they use gouache all the time. And I just look at them and think, oh my God, I really want to be able to do a theme like that, and ended up buying myself a nice little bit of gouache. I'm going to have their channels linked down in the description box for you if you are interested in checking them out, because they have a lot of amazing different Plan With Me spreads and other videos just on how to use gouache, watercolor, and all of that, which could help you if you are a beginner. I did end up getting myself some detailed brushes because the brushes that I have are just a little bit on the chunkier side, and I really wanted to make sure I could do lettering and stuff like that April lettering on top. For the quote page, this hasn't been something that I've done in my journal for a while, actually, I feel like. But for the quote, I decided to use this chalkboard idea. And I actually did this in one of my how to bullet journal as a student spread videos. And you just start with a black piece of paper. Here's the one just from Art Journal Olive that I like to use because it matches the size of the A5 journal that I'm actually using And then I'm coming in over top just with my Jelly Roll pen and adding in different lettering styles. The one thing about a good quote page, in my opinion, is that you have similarities in the quote page, but then also some things that switch it up to similar things. I know that kind of sounds confusing, but you can see I have the calligraphy all the way through, but the calligraphy changed all the way down. And then I ended up adding in a little bit of a lined border, just kind of more of a dotted line. I've been seeing the lines online and in other people's journals, so I thought I'd try it out here. My monthly calendar, I am a sucker for this specific grid calendar layout. I have tried different layouts for my monthly calendar in the past and always come back to this one. And specifically for this calendar, the way that I wanted to look at it was going to be the window looking out. So the building that we drew on the front and painted on the front of the page just kind of had this yellow ochre color in the background, and then more of a gray window coloring, and then that black little strip just at the top as well. I really like this specific layout in particular because it provides me the most amount of room when I am writing out all the stuff that I want to get done during the month. And the reason why I only did a 1 page, because I've done 2-page calendars in the past before, is that I am actually going to be using the other side of this page for my content calendar. Now, this 1-page calendar does provide me just enough room to write down the stuff that I want to get done in the month, because I am dividing my personal and my business life into 2 different pages. So technically you could say I have 2 different calendars within my journal, but that is the reason why I just use it on the 1 page. And I'm coming in just with that jelly pen and then a micron pen as well to write out the days and the number of the week. Now, on the right-hand side of this page is my content calendar. For the month of March, I really wanted to dedicate to posting on my Instagram and my blog and my YouTube channel consistently. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button or the like button for the video. I really encourage you to do it. It really helps support the channel if that's something that you would like to do. Thank you. But for this page here, I am specifically focusing on Instagram. Now, I didn't necessarily need the whole page to write out exactly what I wanted to get done for my Instagram goals, so I decided to come up just at the top here with a decorative piece, because I do love using my bullet journal and find that I actually use it more if I have some sort of creative element in it. The first thing that I do is just border off the little section that I want to paint inside with washi tape. And I have tried using different tapes in my journal before, but the one thing with washi tape that I like is you can peel it off and it doesn't rip your page. So that is why I tend to gravitate towards washi tape versus any other kind of tape, like a masking tape or like Scotch tape, things like that. The washi tape is nice because you're able to lift it up and move it around if you want without it ripping your page. These 5 different drinks, I ended up just coloring in different shades of the brown and mix those into my palette. The nice thing about gouache, which is very similar to acrylics, is you have a color and you can either tint it or make it more of a shade by adding either white or black paint to your base color. So that's really what I did here with all the different colors of the drinks. And then I added in ice cubes if it was an iced coffee or iced tea, and then little swirls and stuff on the top of the drinks as well. I did end up coming in here with a light blue just for the background, but I really didn't think that it made the page pop as much as I wanted to, so I switched it out just for black. In saying that, the one thing that I did notice is if I used too much water on the gouache paint, it would actually mix that gray blue color that I had in the background in with the black. So be careful of that, to not use a lot of water. In general, though, I would say not a lot of water in a journal that's not dedicated specifically for watercolors or paints, because sometimes what can end up happening is the pages will crinkle. That's not the case that I found so far for using the gouache. If I use not a lot of water, my pages don't wrinkle so far in the Archer and Olive journal that I'm using, which I really appreciate. Here is just my Instagram tracker, and I'm dedicating one line to every single day of the week. And then the P, R, and S just up at the top stands for photo, reel, story, and then I have a little description for it as well. If you don't end up using your bullet journal to track your social content, what you can also do for this specific spread is use it as like a project base if you have that for work. You could also write down, like maybe you're getting paid in tips every single day for your job, and it could be, here's how much I got paid for my description this specific day. So the layout works for a bunch of different jobs out there as well, and you can just switch it up to whatever suits your life the best. Next is my gratitude log, and I feel like this has become a staple just in my journal. I really like looking back and seeing how I was feeling in the month. Honestly, this is my favorite bullet journal tracker of all, I would say. And I wanted to come up with the idea of ordering myself a nice day and what that would look like. So the left side of the page I dedicated specifically, again, as a chalkboard. And up at the top here, instead of writing out gratitude log, I wrote out, today I ordered me a cup of, and then left 3 different spaces down below for me to write out 3 things that I was thankful for during that day. That's something that my girlfriend and I usually do right before we go to bed. We just say out loud what we were thankful for, but I want to keep track of it written down instead of just saying it out loud. I think it will be a good reminder to kind of go back and see what my 3 things were for the day. So that chalkboard on the left side ends up saying something sweet, something salty, something hot, something cold. And then I just wrote down 4 different things that I'm really looking forward to in the springtime. So the sunshine, reading, going out and walking, and then flowers. I'm a sucker for flowers, so that definitely made my list. And all of those things in my head are free, and I can add them to my life for more enjoyment. So that was just kind of a cute little idea, I think, for something that I could order myself for having a better day. One other thing that I really want to track in my bullet journal this month is walking. I have been really bad at not getting out walking as much as I want, and I noticed when I included a walking and a reading tracker in my January plan with me this year, I walked and I read a lot more than I do when I don't have something to track and keep me a bit more accountable. I always love the satisfaction of seeing a spread complete, and thought that this would be a really cute idea for walking, of having an iced coffee or an iced tea drink, and each different little squiggle line is going to represent a different day. Now I want to see if I'm going out walking, but I also want to see how long of a walk stepwise I am going to be doing as well. And just up in the top corner, I ended up putting in a little bit of a legend to write down exactly how many steps that I want. The thing with this is, because it's gouache paint that I'm going to be using every single day, I think that I'm going to track my steps at the end of the week, maybe sit down on a Saturday, pull out my paints, and then fill in the 7 days, just based on how much I walked. So the lightest color is less than 5,000 steps, the middle color is 5,000 to 10,000, and then the darkest color is just 10,000 or more steps. Fingers crossed I have the 10,000 or more steps for the month. My content goals, this is specifically going to be for my YouTube, my blog, and my Instagram. I like just writing out attainable and controlled goals that I can achieve. So as much as I would like to have down on my goals, I want to gain a certain amount of subscribers or a certain amount of followers on Instagram or a certain amount of views on my blog. That's not always realistic, and sometimes, for me at least personally, it can be a little discouraging if those goals don't actually happen. So when I'm planning out my goals, I really like to break it down and think more of what can I actually achieve. So something that's achievable is to post on my YouTube channel every Sunday. So that's one of my goals for the month of April. Every Sunday there's going to be a video. And then I can go down and add that in for all of my other social content ideas for YouTube, Instagram, and the blog. Let me know just down in the comments below what you do to help achieve your goals. I'm slowly trying to figure out what works best for me, and if you have any tips, I would be much appreciative of all of that. I did end up wanting to keep the page a little bit simple, so I came in with my calligraphy lettering, which I kind of do a lot, but I love it. It's just a staple for me by now with the YouTube, Instagram, and blog. Last month in my March plan with me, I ended up including a reflection tracker. And this was the very first time that I really looked at how I was feeling going into the month and coming out of the month. The one thing that I wish I did a little bit differently is that I had more of a weekly check-in to see how I was feeling. Because honestly, one day I could be feeling great, and then the next week or the next day I'm not feeling the best and in a great headspace. So I wanted to really see if there was a pattern. Maybe it's always the second week that I'm really stressed out, or maybe I'm at the end of the week and I'm usually stressed out. So if I write something at the beginning versus the end, how's that really going to affect my reflection? And just take more time to really sit down for about 15-20 minutes in my journal and just write out how I'm feeling. On the side, I ended up using again that washi tape trick just to block in all of the paint that I'm using, and then mixed up a gray color just in the gouache, a little bit of white and black, and then created the cups. I did end up using again the coffee in the mug with some cute little foam designs, and these are just books that I did under. That first color, that more turquoisey color, I created just by mixing the blue and green in the kit that I have, and then added a bit of white to have it be a little bit more tinted for that bottom book color. Now, as much as I would like to say I'm getting better at my brush techniques and having a steadier hand, having really skinny detailed lines is not my cup of tea. I can't do it yet. So I did end up coming in with the Micron brush pens and my Tombow pen here just to add in those detailed lines for the book. That's really nice that these pens layer up really easily over top of the gouache paint, and it doesn't dry out your pen or anything like that. Up at the top here, I did end up just filling in the section saying, how are you really? And then came in and added some washi tape on the side to block off each of my sections for the week. Because I know that this page is going to look really busy once I fill in kind of what I'm feeling and my thoughts for the week, I knew that I wanted to keep it simple. So I just did one little strip of the yellow line and then came over top with my pen and just wrote in a little dainty calligraphy style weeks 1 to 5. On the right hand side, just next to that coffee cup and book picture, I ended up having a little section for the beginning of the month versus the end of the month. And that top section goes through the thoughts that I'm feeling or thinking going into April. And I just put a little note saying, be honest with yourself. And then the end of the month here, I have what are you most proud of this month? And just really taking time to reflect on both of those things going in and out of the month. I think will be really interesting to compare to last month because those are two questions that I asked as well. My weekly spread. So on YouTube, I show my very first weekly spread, and then all of the other spreads that I create for the week, I actually end up posting on my Instagram. So if you want to just see what the other spreads look like, make sure to pop over there and go follow me and you can get notified when I post. On the side, I wanted to try doing coffee beans, and I was a little scared to test them out and actually was gonna ditch the whole idea, but then I'm like, okay, give it a whirl. If it doesn't look good, it doesn't look good. Nothing has to be perfect 100% of the time in your journal. But this, I kid you not, was the easiest thing ever. You just mix up a shade of brown, and I did that by combining the red, blue, and yellow in my kit just to make the brown shade that I wanted. Add some black if you wanted it a little darker, white if you wanted it a little lighter, and add a little bit of highlights. You're just putting on 2 little lines to make that coffee bean, and that's really it for the side. It was so simple. So if this is something you think might be a little too difficult, give it a try. It was a lot of fun and really easy to do. One of my videos that I've done recently is how to create different one-page weeklies in your bullet journal. And I talked a lot about sectioning off the pages into even categories. I ended up doing a whole blog post on that, and I'll just have it linked down below as well, that really walks you through how to create a weekly page in your bullet journal. So on the right-hand side, I divided the page into 8 boxes. I know there's only 7 dots over there, but just bear with me. And then on the left-hand side here, I just had 7 horizontal boxes, and each of those days are going to represent 1 box for my goals. So what did I do during the week to make sure that I accomplished those goals and I can have a spot to write down daily for it? Now, like I said, on the right-hand side, I did divide the page into 8 boxes, and that first box I left blank and I filled in with a mini calendar. That's my go-to for filling in space. I like having a visual, just really kind of seeing what week I'm on. And then I added in the day of the week and the number of the week just on the circles, and then the date, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all of that adds a bit more of a blocker to the boxes. So it just divides the page a bit. But that's really it for my April 2022 plan with me. I'm really excited that I ended up using gouache in my journal this time around and love how it turned out. And if you've watched up until this part of the video, make sure to put a coffee emoji in the comments. Well, that is it. Thank you for watching the video, and make sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below. It really does help support the channel to grow, and I'll see you next week with another video. Bye!